Apologize to my daughter, or your kids are out of this house, my fiancée said after her 14-year-old threw my son's iPhone at the wall. I wanted the latest model, not his cheap one, she yelled. Her parents just smirked. I didn't argue. I withdrew my investment, took back the Tesla, and said, from now on, you're on your own. Apologize to my daughter, or your kids are out of this house. My fiancée said it in front of everyone. Her parents, her daughter, my son, my little girl. She said it like she was giving me a simple choice, like what had just happened in our living room was somehow normal. My son Noah stood frozen near the couch, staring at the broken pieces of his iPhone scattered across the hardwood floor. My daughter Lily was clutching my arm, already crying because children always understand the truth faster than adults pretend to. Across from us, Brielle, Vanessa's 14-year-old daughter, stood with her chin up and zero shame in her face. I wanted the latest model, not his cheap one, she shouted. Cheap. The phone she had just ripped from Noah's hands and thrown at the wall wasn't cheap. It had been mine before I gave it to him. Clean, barely used, still in perfect condition. But Brielle didn't care. She wanted a newer one, a better one she could wave in front of her friends. And because I had told her no, because I had already paid for enough that month to fund half her mother's lifestyle, she decided my son's happiness was a fair thing to smash. I looked at Vanessa, then at her parents. Martin, her father, was leaning back in his chair with that smug little smile he always wore when someone else was being humiliated. Her mother, Colleen, pretended to be shocked, but the corners of her mouth twitched. They weren't upset. They were entertained. Vanessa folded her arms across her chest and looked at me like I was the problem. Justin, she said, voice low and sharp, you heard me. Apologize to my daughter. Noah looked up at me with wet eyes. Dad, I didn't do anything. That was the moment something in me went completely still. My name is Justin. I'm a massage therapist. I make a living calming pain, easing tension, helping people carry less suffering in their bodies. For years, I thought that made me patient, mature, strong. What it actually made me was useful. Useful to a woman who loved the way I looked more than the man I was. Useful to a family that saw my money as community property. Useful to people who called my kindness weakness because it was more convenient than calling themselves cruel. Vanessa had fallen for me because I looked eerily like Justin Bieber. I'd heard it my whole life, from strangers, from clients, from cashiers, from drunk women in bars. Same haircut at one point, same smile, same eyes. Most of the time, I hated hearing it. Vanessa loved it. At first, she made it sound like a joke, then a compliment. Then, little by little, it turned into the ugliest truth in our relationship. One night, after too much wine, she had laughed and told me, I put up with you because you look so much like him. I should have left that night. Instead, I stayed. I paid. I tolerated. I kept telling myself love was worth effort. That blended families were hard. That teenagers acted out. That weddings were stressful. That people said ugly things when they were scared. But standing in that living room, watching my son try not to cry over a phone he loved, while my fiancée demanded that I apologize to the girl who destroyed it, I finally understood something simple. I was not building a family. I was financing one that had already decided mine mattered less. So I didn't argue, I didn't shout, I didn't defend myself. I picked up the broken phone, set it gently on the table, opened my banking app, and started undoing every thread that tied my future to theirs. Vanessa frowned. What are you doing? I looked her straight in the eye, ending the part where you thought I'd keep paying for this. She laughed at first. Martin smirked. Brielle rolled her eyes. They all thought I was bluffing. Then I withdrew my investment, locked the wedding account, took back the Tesla, and said the only sentence that finally wiped the smugness off every face in that room. From now on, you're on your own. And that was only the beginning. I met Vanessa at a wellness event where I was doing chair massages for donors and guests. She sat down in front of me, turned halfway around before I even touched her shoulders, and smiled like she already knew something about me. You look exactly like Justin Bieber, she said. I laughed. That's been a problem before. For me, she said, it might be a benefit. That was Vanessa. Fast, charming, direct. The kind of woman who made attention feel like destiny. I was 36, divorced, raising 2 kids, working long days as a massage therapist, trying to keep my life stable and quiet. She felt exciting in a way I hadn't let myself want for years. At first, she was good with my kids. Not warm exactly, but polished. She remembered Noah liked dinosaurs, and that Lily hated crusts on sandwiches. She bought little gifts. She spoke softly when other people were around. She knew how to look loving before she had to prove she was. Then, I met her family. Martin was one of those men who insulted people through jokes. He'd ask about my job, nod slowly, then say things like, "Must be nice making money with candles and lotion." Colleen was worse, in a quieter way. She'd smile, touch my arm, and ask if I had plans for something more stable later. Vanessa's younger brother Derek lived for group chats and sarcasm. He started calling me Bieber hands within 2 weeks. Vanessa always laughed. I told myself it didn't matter. That's how it starts. Not with one enormous offense, but with 1,000 little permissions you hand other people, because confronting them feels too exhausting. Vanessa was a single mother. Brielle's father paid child support when it suited him. Vanessa's townhouse rent was high. Her taste was expensive, and her parents contributed opinions far more often than money. So when she cried in front of me about bills, I helped. First it was groceries, then school fees, then a car repair, then part of the rent, then all of it blurred together. I was buying shoes for Brielle because Vanessa said teenagers were brutal about appearances. I was covering utility bills because things would level out after the wedding. I was paying for family dinners that turned into performances where Martin would toast me as if I were some harmless little joke. And every time I thought I'd reached a limit, Vanessa found a sweeter way to ask for more. By the time we got engaged, I had already spent more on her household than I had on myself in years. But the money wasn't even the ugliest part. It was how naturally they all began to treat my help as an obligation. If I paid for dinner, Martin complained about the restaurant. If I fixed something in the house, Colleen said a real man would have noticed it sooner. If I bought Brielle a gift, she asked why it wasn't newer, better, more expensive. If Noah or Lily needed something, suddenly I was playing favorites. That was the thing about Vanessa's family. Generosity only counted when it flowed toward them. Once, I spent a Saturday helping Martin move furniture into his garage because he refused to hire movers. My back was screaming by the end of it. He filmed me wiping sweat off my face and posted it in the family chat with the caption, "Look at Bieber earning his place." Everybody laughed. Another time, Vanessa posted a picture of me asleep on the couch after a 12-hour day with the caption, "When your fiancé is too exhausted for romance, but never too exhausted to pay bills." Her friends flooded the comments with jokes. She left it up for 2 days even after I told her to delete it. Then Brielle started copying the adults. She was smart enough to know exactly where to aim cruelty. Never too openly in front of outsiders. Never in ways that would make Vanessa look like a bad mother. Just little comments, little cuts. "Your son cries over everything. Lily eats like a toddler. My mom says you let your kids get away with too much. Must be nice living here half the time and acting like this is your house." Noah started going quiet after visits. Lily clung to me more. I asked Vanessa to step in. She sighed like I was exhausting her. "Justin, she's 14. Stop being so sensitive." That word again, sensitive. It was always what selfish people called pain that inconvenienced them. Then there was the face thing. At first, Vanessa treated the resemblance like flirtation. She'd touch my jaw and say, "It's actually unfair how much you look like him." She'd ask me to wear my hair a certain way. She once bought me a hoodie because it gave major early Bieber energy. I laughed it off because it felt ridiculous, and ridiculous felt harmless. It wasn't harmless. It was a warning that she was in love with an image and renting me as the nearest substitute. One night, after her parents left and Brielle was upstairs, Vanessa sat on the kitchen counter drinking white wine and scrolling old music videos on her phone. She looked at me, tilted her head, and said it so casually it almost didn't register. "I tolerated a lot from you because you look so much like him." I stared at her. "What does that mean?" She shrugged. "Come on, Justin. You're sweet, but you're not exactly exciting. If you didn't have the whole look thing going on, she didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. I should have walked out then. Instead, like an idiot, I asked if she was serious. She laughed, kissed my cheek, and said, "Don't be dramatic." That's how people like Vanessa survive. They say the ugliest truth in the room, then punish you for noticing it. The public humiliations got worse after that. Brielle posted a TikTok of Noah carrying pizza boxes into the kitchen with text over it. When the cheap kids think they're equal because their dad pays some bills. Vanessa didn't make her delete it. Martin told people at a family barbecue, "Justin's a nice guy. If you like men prettier than your daughters." Everyone laughed. Colleen actually choked on her drink, trying not to. At our engagement dinner, Vanessa gave a toast where she said, "I guess all my teenage posters finally paid off." Even my children heard that. Noah asked me in the car, "Why do they always talk about your face?" I didn't know how to answer without telling him the whole truth. Then money started disappearing in ways that felt wrong. I transferred $12,000 for the wedding venue. Later, the venue emailed about a missed installment. I paid for Brielle's summer program. Then Vanessa asked for more because there had been extra fees. When I asked for receipts, she got offended. I invested $15,000 into a boutique event business Martin swore was going to be for Vanessa's future security. There was no business plan, just vague promises, a logo draft, and endless confidence. So I started saving things. Bank statements, transfers, texts, emails, voice notes, screenshots. Not because I wanted revenge, because I could feel reality slipping. And when reality starts slipping around, manipulative people, documents become oxygen. Then, one night, entirely by accident, I found what I needed. Our home Wi-Fi and shared backup accounts were under plans I paid for. Vanessa synced everything to everything because she was careless when she felt safe. One old tablet in the kitchen had photo backups from her phone. I wasn't snooping for fun. I was looking for a vendor confirmation she swore she had shown me. Instead, I found screenshots of messages between Vanessa and Colleen. He already moved the venue money. Don't tell him I used some for Brielle's package. If he gets weird, remind him the girls need stability. Once you're married, he'll stop separating mine and his. Then messages with Martin. Can he add another 10 grand to the business? Easy. Push emotion, not numbers. Men like him want to feel needed. My hands actually shook. Then I found an audio memo. Vanessa and Colleen in the kitchen, laughing while I was upstairs showering. "Do you really love him?" Colleen asked. Vanessa laughed first. "I love what he solves. And because he looks like that singer, the face definitely helped." Then more laughter. I sat in my car outside my office for almost an hour after hearing that, staring at the steering wheel, feeling the exact moment denial finally die. Still, I didn't explode. Instead, I bought a hard drive the next morning and started building a file. Every transfer, every message, every video, every post, every ugly little piece. I had no idea exactly when I'd use it. I just knew one day I might need proof more than peace. Then Vanessa and her family gave me that day. 3 weeks before the wedding, Vanessa started talking openly about the future in ways that excluded my children, without ever saying so directly. Once we're really settled, things will feel more balanced. Brielle needs consistency in her home. Your custody schedule makes everything complicated. Then, one night I overheard Brielle on FaceTime with a friend saying, after the wedding, his kids won't matter as much. They're barely here anyway. That sentence lodged in me like broken glass. I think a part of me already knew what was coming. I just didn't know it would happen over an iPhone. It happened on a Sunday afternoon. Vanessa's parents had come over for lunch. Brielle had been sulking all day because one of her friends got the newest iPhone and she didn't. Noah was sitting on the rug showing Lily a game on the phone I'd passed down to him a month earlier. He loved that phone, not because it was expensive, but because it made him feel grown up and trusted. Brielle walked over, held out her hand, and said, "Let me see." Noah hesitated. Then he gave it to her. She turned it over once, looked disgusted, and said, "This is old." "It works fine," Noah said quietly. She looked at me. "Why does he get one and I don't?" "Because it was mine," I said. And because I said I'm not buying a brand new phone for a 14-year-old right now. The look she gave me was pure entitlement. Then, before anyone could move, she whipped her arm back and threw Noah's phone straight into the wall. The crack echoed through the room. Lily screamed. Noah went white. Vanessa rushed in, and instead of asking Brielle what she had done, instead of checking on my son, she looked at me and gave her ultimatum. "Apologize to my daughter, or your kids are out of this house." I remember Martin smirking. I remember Colleen pretending to sip wine. I remember Noah whispering, "Dad, I didn't do anything." I remember realizing that if I stayed 1 minute longer in that role, provider, peacekeeper, human wallet, I would be teaching my children that love meant swallowing humiliation until the people hurting you felt comfortable. So I said, "Noah, Lily, get your things." Vanessa stared at me. "Excuse me." I opened my phone. The wedding account was first. Every dollar I had put in, gone, transferred back out. "Justin," she snapped, suddenly nervous now. "What are you doing?" I didn't answer. I removed my payment authorization from the venue. I froze the shared planning card. Then I opened my car app and disabled Vanessa's Tesla access. That got her attention. "Justin," Martin stood up. "Don't be ridiculous." I looked at him. "You haven't even seen ridiculous yet." Then I went to my work bag, pulled out the hard drive, and set it on the dining table. Vanessa's face changed instantly. No smugness, no superiority, just fear. "What is that?" Colleen asked. "Insurance," I said. I plugged my laptop in. The first thing I played was the audio of Vanessa and Colleen laughing in the kitchen. I love what he solves. The face definitely helped. Colleen actually gasped, then stammered, "That's out of context." "Great," I said. "Here's more context." Texts about moving my money around. Texts about using my kids as leverage. Texts where Martin literally said, "Push emotion, not numbers." Messages where Vanessa described me as easy to manage. Martin's mouth tightened. Vanessa whispered, "You went through my things?" "No," I said calmly. "You handed me your truth by getting careless." Then I opened the spreadsheet. Every payment, every transfer, every bill, every school fee, every rent contribution. Every dollar that had kept her life comfortable while she and her family mocked me behind my back. Brielle stared at the total and said, "That's insane." "Yes," I said. "It is insane." Vanessa changed tactics immediately. Tears filled her eyes. "You're doing this in front of the children?" I looked at Noah, then back at her. "You already did." And because I wanted the last of the lies stripped clean, I had invited one more person. The doorbell rang. Vanessa frowned. "Who is that?" "Someone who got tired of your version of the truth." It was Serena, Vanessa's former best friend and former maid of honor. They had stopped speaking months earlier after Serena warned me that Vanessa liked being adored more than she liked being honest. Serena walked in holding her phone and a printed folder. Vanessa went pale. "Why are you here?" Serena didn't even look at her at first. She looked at me, then at my children, then at the shattered phone on the table. "Because now," she said quietly, "you finally believe me." She opened the folder and slid several screenshots across the table. Messages between Vanessa and her friends. "If he didn't look like Bieber, I wouldn't have made it this far. He's good for stability. His kids are temporary baggage. Shared custody is my favorite thing about him. After the wedding, I'll get him to stop splitting things so carefully." Noah heard that word, baggage. I saw it hit him. He looked down immediately, and something inside me turned into ice. Then Serena played a voice note Vanessa had once sent her during a fight. Vanessa's voice, clear as day. "Yeah, I tolerated him because he looks like Justin Bieber. What, I'm supposed to pretend that wasn't part of the appeal? He's useful, Serena. That's what you don't get. Men like him live to be chosen." Nobody in that room could breathe for a second. Martin looked furious, but not at me. Colleen looked embarrassed, because people like her hate truth mostly when it makes them look ordinary. Brielle crossed her arms and muttered, Whatever. Vanessa looked cornered and dangerous. Then she made the worst mistake of her life. She looked at Noah and said, "If your father weren't so weak, none of this would be happening." Noah stepped behind me. That tiny movement was the end of everything. I closed the laptop, I took the Tesla key card from the entryway bowl, I handed Serena back her folder, and I looked at Vanessa with more calm than she deserved. The wedding is over. The money is gone. The car is mine. The investment is withdrawn. And you will never speak to my children again. Martin stepped toward me. "You can't just ruin this family and walk out." I met his eyes. "I didn't ruin anything. I just stopped financing the lie." Colleen started crying. Brielle shouted that everyone was overreacting. Vanessa grabbed my arm. "You can't leave me like this." I pulled free. "No," I said. "I can leave exactly like this." Then I picked up Lily's backpack, took Noah's hand, and walked to the door. Behind me, I heard yelling, crying, chair leg scraping, Vanessa calling my name with that furious, disbelieving tone selfish people use when they finally realize another human being has limits. At the threshold, I turned once and said the last thing any of them expected to hear from me. "From now on, you're on your own." Then I left. By the time I got my kids home, Vanessa had already begun rewriting history. First, a Facebook post. "Some men weaponize money when they can't control strong women." Then Colleen shared it. Then Martin posted something vague about ungrateful people destroying families. Then Brielle uploaded a crying selfie with the caption, "Imagine losing everything over one misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. My son's smashed phone. Months of theft. Years of mockery. Plans to absorb my money through marriage. My children being called baggage. And somehow that was a misunderstanding. I had expected it. What they hadn't expected was that I was done staying quiet. At midnight, after Noah and Lily were asleep, I made one post. No rant, no all-caps drama, no begging for sympathy. Just facts. I wrote, "For the record, I ended my engagement tonight after ongoing financial misuse, repeated public humiliation, and a direct incident in which my fiancé's daughter destroyed my son's property and was defended for it. I am posting limited evidence because my children deserve privacy, but I will not allow lies to stand." Then I attached screenshots, the temporary baggage text, the transfers, the message about using emotion instead of numbers, the proof that I paid for the Tesla, a screenshot of Brielle's TikTok mocking Noah, and one short transcript from the audio. I love what he solves. The face definitely helped. That was enough. By morning, people had chosen sides, and for the first time, Vanessa's side didn't have the advantage, because tears lose power when receipts enter the room. She called me 16 times. I blocked her. Martin sent me an email threatening legal action for defamation. My lawyer friend Mark replied for me. Truth supported by documentation is not defamation. Then the consequences started arriving, one after another. The wedding venue contacted Vanessa for unpaid balances after I removed myself as payer. The event rental project collapsed immediately when I withdrew my investment. The Tesla was recovered 2 days later from outside the townhouse. Brielle apparently screamed for an hour when she realized the car was gone. And that wasn't even the best part. Because while Vanessa was trying to salvage the ruins of the life she thought I would keep funding, I was rebuilding mine in a direction she had always mocked. I took the money that would have gone into the wedding and the fake business and poured it into something real. My own studio. I had dreamed about it for years, a calm, beautifully designed bodywork space where I could do therapeutic massage, sports recovery, prenatal work, trauma-informed sessions, and post-rehab care without answering to anyone else. Vanessa used to laugh whenever I talked about it. "Massage studios are cute," she once said. "But are they really a future?" Turns out, yes, a far better one than hers. Within 6 weeks, I signed the lease on a bright downtown space with warm oak floors and high windows. I named it Reset Bodyworks because that was exactly what my life had become, a forced reset that turned out to be a rescue. I posted the opening announcement. Clients came, then referrals, then athletes, then overworked nurses and office people and tired mothers and men who had spent years pretending their pain wasn't real, until someone finally put skilled hands on their shoulders and told them they didn't have to carry it like that. The studio worked. It really worked. And the more stable my life became, the uglier Vanessa's looked. She made a video trying to present herself as a struggling single mother abandoned by a controlling man. Then she made the mistake of saying on camera, "Honestly, I tolerated Justin because he looked like Justin Bieber, and people are acting like that's some crime." That clip spread further than anything else, because there it was, the truth. Her own voice, no editing, no excuses. She had loved the resemblance, used the resemblance, built a fantasy around the resemblance, and treated the actual man underneath it like an accessory with a bank account. Serena sent me more proof after that. Old chats, voice notes, archived screenshots Vanessa had once dumped into their shared folders, without thinking. I didn't post most of it. I didn't need to. I sent a few pieces privately to the loudest people trying to shame me into forgiveness. One church friend who messaged me that a good man restores the family got a screenshot where Vanessa called my children temporary baggage. One mutual friend who said Brielle was just a child got the video of her mocking Noah and bragging about throwing the phone. One relative of Vanessa's, who hinted I had overreacted, got Martin's message about pushing emotion instead of numbers. That quieted almost everybody. Then came the apologies. Not real ones, from Vanessa. She stayed angry, then bitter, then self-pitying. But others started circling back. Colleen emailed a long note about regret, tension, and how things were said in the heat of the moment. Martin sent a shorter message. "No hard feelings. Let's talk like adults about settling the investment issue." I ignored both. Brielle sent Noah a message through a game account saying she was sorry if he got upset. I blocked that too. Eventually, Vanessa came to the studio herself. It was late. I was locking up. She stood by the door in a beige coat, looking tired in a way anger can't hide forever. "You're enjoying this," she said. "No," I answered. "I'm recovering from it." She stared at the sign above the entrance. "Reset Bodyworks." Then at me. "You ruined my life." I almost laughed. "No," I said. "I stopped paying for it." Her jaw tightened. "You made me look insane. You did that yourself." Then she stepped closer, lowered her voice, and said the one thing that told me she still hadn't changed at all. "I did choose you." I looked at her for a long second. "No," I said. "You chose a face you were obsessed with and a man you thought you could use." For the first time in our entire relationship, she had no comeback. I walked back inside, locked the door, and left her standing there in the reflection of glass she couldn't manipulate. Peace felt strange at first. No emergency money transfers. No sarcastic family chats. No teenage girl taking shots at my kids, because adults had taught her cruelty was personality. No fiancé treating my face like a prize and my heart like office furniture. Just quiet. Beautiful. Almost suspicious quiet. Noah stopped asking if he had done something wrong. Lily stopped shrinking whenever adults raised their voices. They slept better. So did I. On Fridays, we ordered pizza and watched movies in the condo. On Sundays, I took them to the park or the aquarium or just for pancakes, somewhere with sticky tables and no judgment. Slowly, the panic left our bodies. The studio grew. I hired another therapist, then another. I built the kind of place I had once been mocked for dreaming about. Warm lights, clean lines, honest work. At the front desk, on a small frame sign, I put a sentence that only a few people fully understand. Care requires respect. Most people think it's about massage. It is. But not only that, I changed my phone number, changed the passwords, changed who had access to my time, my money, my children, my peace. And I never went back. That part matters because the world loves reconciliation stories. People are addicted to forgiveness when they're not the ones who got cut open. They want the wedding to be saved, the family to heal, the children to see all adults hug and cry and promise to do better. Life isn't built on what sounds nicer. It's built on what is safe. And Vanessa was never safe for my children. Her family was never safe for my dignity. That house was never going to become a home just because I kept paying for it. I understand myself better now. I wasn't weak because I stayed too long. I was hopeful. I was tired. I was trying to build something decent in a place full of people who treated decency like a resource to exploit. That's not shameful, but staying would have been. Sometimes clients still laugh and tell me I look like Justin Bieber. Now I just smile and say, I've heard that before. The difference is, it doesn't define anything anymore. I am not the man Vanessa tolerated because he resembled someone famous. I am not the wallet her parents smirked at. I am not the soft target they assumed would keep absorbing humiliation for the sake of peace. I'm Justin. I'm a massage therapist. I'm a father. I'm a man who learned that being gentle does not mean being available for abuse. And I learned one more thing too. Money is never just money in a toxic family. It is power, access, control, expectation. Once you stop paying, the masks come off fast. Months later, Noah asked me one quiet question while we were eating breakfast before school. Do you think she ever cared about us? I looked at him, really looked at him, and told him the truth in the gentlest way I could. I think she cared about what we gave. He nodded slowly, like that answer made sense in a sad way. Then he finished his cereal and asked if we could stop for hot chocolate after school. That was the mercy of childhood. It knows how to move forward when adults finally stop dragging it backward. Outside my studio, there's a second little plaque beside the business hours. Most people don't notice it unless they're waiting for someone and happen to stand close enough. It says, "Private property, boundaries honored here." That line makes me smile every time I see it. Because for most of my life, boundaries felt like something selfish people ignored and kind people apologized for. Not anymore. Vanessa wanted me to apologize to her daughter after my son's phone was smashed. She wanted my children out of the house if I refused. She thought I'd panic, cave, smooth it over, pay for a replacement, and stay exactly where she had trained me to stay. Instead, I took back the money. I took back the Tesla. I took back my future. And I walked out with the only people I was truly responsible for protecting: my children. The rest of them? They got exactly what they had been asking for all along. Life without me in it. From now on, they really are on their own.